Thank you so much. I appreciate giving me the opportunity for the presentation, and thanks to those of you who spend your 3 o'clock afternoon on a Monday with my session. Hopefully, you can learn a thing or two out of this from the session. So today we're going to talk about the importance of a leadership during the COVID-19. Daniel, if you can go to the first slide. We have we are living in a world right now that we've never experienced it before. Meaning, the world of we've never lived in a world of faster and more wide-reaching technology innovations. Our job, businesses, and even how we operate as a society are being transformed by technologies. And this is not only because of the pandemic. The pandemic is only fast-tracking this digital information that is happening right now. If we go back in 1700, we can see there was the first revolution that happened with steam. Fast forward 1800, electricity created the second revolution. Every revolution changed the behavior for the consumers, the way that businesses works, the way that people live in different world, and create more opportunity. And in late 90s, during the dot-com era, computing, internet, mobile, that was like all the things that they were, pushing us toward the new customers' behavior through a new way of thinking and offering. Now, before the pandemic, we were expecting to go through the fourth revolution. We could have seen how AI is changing the world in many different industries. You could have seen AR, VR, or many other technology, how things was changed. But what pandemic did, pandemic fast track these digital transformation. So for example, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, if somebody would have told you, hey, you can do the FaceTime with your doctor or family physician, probably would have laughed that, hey, they don't have time to FaceTime with me or see me through a screen. Now it's something that everyone accepted it as a routine. So all these things that is happening bring new innovation. Now, viruses, pandemics, these are coming around the innovations, whether it's a medical or a physical, and that's how they change how we go through day-to-day lives. Basically, if it wasn't because of the innovation, we were still living in the dark ages. The pandemic not only bring changes in technology and improving into technology, but also bringing people together from different fields. And that's leading to new innovations, because now people are working together. And that's a really good thing, that people are working together. Now, what we have is crisis that is driving the merger in different disciplines to come with the real quick solution or for a very complex problems. And we can see that, again, through the pandemic, how different industries and different technologies are getting together and working together. At the end of the day, people will always need to eat, work, and play and connect. It's just a question of how they're going to do that. The pandemic is changing that. So what we're going to go through today in my presentation is how you can actually take advantage of what is happening, rather than just playing a defense and trying to have day-to-day stuff for your business. So in the next slide, what we'd like to talk is the pandemic has been an epic test of the character and determination for 1 million of the people. And this is not only about the business, it's about personal and business, and how people are changing their behaviors toward each other, to our families, to our work, to our other businesses. Your mindset should be that the history is cyclical, meaning we've had this before. We've been tested before through wars, through health and humanitarian challenges, and even the economy setbacks. We've seen this through other recessions that we were going through. That not only the economy came back, but also it always got better. So if you look at all these setbacks that we had because of the economy or because of the crisis, after a while, the economy not only they came back, but also got better than before. Look at the 2008, where we had the crash of 2008. Now we've never had, for this many years that the market has been up. So that you should learn from that of how the history has been repeating and how you can take advantage. Now, if you look back over the past recessions or downturns in our economy, great companies have been born in these times. Usually you can see like one or two or three or a handful of great companies come out of these recessions or setbacks. You know, in the last recession, we could see the Ubers coming out. We could see Airbnb is coming out. This pandemic will also is gonna help amazing startups and host new product and services simply because new opportunity is opening up, because the way that people are looking at the day-to-day needs and how they used to approach any of these has been changed, and that's why things are opening up. It just goes back to you how you can see them. So next slide, please. So in order for you as a CEO or as a founder or as a leader in every company, what you need to do, the first thing is you have to get your house in order. That's that's the most important thing that you want to have, because we are dealing with so many issues in a personal level and as a team level, as a business level. So look at your the personal life issues that is being created for yourself, people around you, as well as your team. Homeschooling. That's a new problem for a lot of people, because now you have to deal with kids being around. Kids can't go out. Their activities are very limited now. They can't do it. It creates some challenges within the house. Also, the other challenges that pandemic is creating for people is staying healthy and active. I know a lot of people around me that they function that way to just do some sort of activity. Now those activities are limited because there's some of the gyms are closed, some of the gyms have the limited number of the people, some of the people don't even go there because they have high risk family member around them. So everything has been changed in a personal level. Now, when you look at your team, you can see they're freaking out. They don't know if they have a job tomorrow. They don't. They don't know so many. They also have personal issues within their families. So the first thing that you need to do, you need to get your house in order. That's leadership. This is the most critical thing that you can do, and that's where the leadership will be born. Because this is how you need to do that. First thing, you have to manage yourself. If you can manage yourself, if you want to be stressed, if you have so many questions in your mind, you won't be able to lead a team. The team is going to rely on you. The team is going to look up at you to see, okay, how confident you are and what the directions that you're going. So first, you need to manage yourself. The second, you need to manage your team. Thirdly, you need to manage your network, because within your network, number one, is going to be so many opportunities that is on you to open your eyes and to figure it out. Number two, there are so many hints that you can get. We're going to talk about the opportunities, how you can see all these opportunities. And thirdly is any company, when they go through it, through this pandemic issues, the network is questioning if they can survive. Hey, if this business is, what is it that they're going to do? And right now, from the investment perspective, there are so many great companies out there that they're distressed asset, that the valuation was crazy before pandemic, but right now the valuation is more reasonable. On the other hand, consumers are still spending money. You can see like that hasn't changed much. The problem is who they're spending it with and how they're spending it with. The customer's behavior. So you need to have your game plan based on the new opportunity and the new way of running a business. Next slide, please. So if you want to do that, the biggest thing is you have to see the big picture, see the opportunity. And sometimes opportunity is just beyond the service and the product and the customers. So right now, I think most of you are from Vancouver or from Canada. Right now, Canada by itself is an opportunity, because Canada has always been a great home for startups and for businesses, with the government grants, with the government supports. Now, we have some advantages: quality of life, great education. There are so many talents in Canada now, and not only that, but also we have a stable government and economy in compared to majority of the other countries that we're looking at it. Now with the COVID and the politics in the United States, it makes Canada more attractive. Now the talent from the talent side, the administration in US is blocking the foreign workers. So the Canadians are welcoming them. So right now, this is a great way for getting talents. There are the way that the COVID being handled in Canada and south of the borders is giving a great opportunity for all the Canadian companies to take advantage of that. But what is really important right now is to keep your doors open, keep your eyes open, and keep your doors open. You have to be aggressive. This is the time that you can't go on defense. This is the time that you have to be aggressive. Warren Buffett has a very famous quote. He's saying, "Be greedy when other people are fearful." This is the time that you can take advantage by having a solid plan. Build a great company here and keep them from here on, and that's where you can do it. So. Gary Vee has a famous quote and say, "Hey, let's go on the offense." This is the time that you need to go on the offense rather than defense. You need to focus on the recovery, because as we talked about this, the economy is going to go back. Not only is going to go back, but I think the economy is going to be better. And the only question is when that's going to be better. So the great businesses and the great companies is going to have their plan based on the recovery date, not just figuring it out what is the day to day, how we can create the cash flow today. That's the defense. You need to play offense. Now you need to keep your eyes open for the end game. So what is your end game? And then go back from that and see what is it needed to be done today in order for you to get to that end game. Always stay ahead of the game, because right now, we'll talk about this. One thing the pandemic has done to a lot of businesses is like you have a remote control, and majority of your competitors and people around you has pressed pause. They're not doing anything. They're fearful. This is the best time. This is the time that if it's a race, you get ahead of them and you try to, by the solid planning and finding the right opportunity, you can actually start creating a new way of working. You see a lot of bigger companies, when the pandemic happened, they started having something on the side. Hey, we're going to start producing sanitizers, or we're going to start producing the N95 masks, because the opportunity is there. And a lot of companies, they don't know what to do. Oh my God, like nobody's going to buy this. Oh, nobody's going to buy that. A lot of companies try to pivot and figure out what is it that they can do. What is the low hanging fruit right now that not only I can help the economy, not only I can help the community, but also I can get ahead of the game from my competitors. So when you get this, you always have to be ready to adjust your narrative. Because again, you may have a product right now that as of today, the product is not as sexy or as demanding. Because of the pandemic, you don't get enough demands for that. But you have very similar product nearby, or you have the customers base that you can sell them other things. You have to adjust that and put a plan together, figure out the end goal, and move forward fast. In order to do that, you have a limited time. The reason that people get stressed is because there are so many things that they need to think about it. When you go through the pandemic, or when you are dealing with such crises, because of the personal problems, because of the business problems, because of the team problems, there's so much is happening in your mind. You need to take one step back, set the priorities straight. You need to figure out which of these items and which of these tasks is going to bring you the best results, and is going to help with the end goal that you have. When you're trying to set those priorities, try to make the decision based on the recovery day, not based on today. Because based on today, it's a defense. Based on the recovery day, you're going to figure out where you can be then. Again, when you go through these cycles of the economy setbacks, there's always great companies coming out, and there are some major companies that they're not surviving because they don't go through the changes, because they're not adjusting. Who thought Netflix is gonna destroy the business for blockbusters? If you would have said that 20 years ago, people would have laughed at you. Amazon what they did to Sears, because they're not adjusting with the customer's behavior and the opportunities. The newbies at a time, they're looking at, okay, so what are the changes? What are the opportunities? And I'm going to focus on the recovery day, and based on that, I'm going to come up with my plan. So setting the priority, that's one of the most important thing. So in the next slide, what I like to talk about is, now when you set your plan and strategy, and then go offense. Don't be ad hoc. Don't make a decision overnight that, hey, tomorrow we're going to do this. The team the day after come to work, and you're going to say, hey, no, we're going to do another thing. The problem if you do that is you're making people confused then, and you're going to lose time. So the biggest thing is you have to set your plan and strategy, and then go offense. Now, during the crisis, most people, companies in a startup tend to freeze. They get paralyzed because they don't know what to do. Okay, should I apply for this loan? Should I send everyone home and get a temporary layoff because, hey, I want to bring the cost down? Is anyone is going to come back? Should I even just go back to the old contracts that we have? So during the crisis, people tend to freeze. This is the best time. So if you're going through a race, and for any reason your competitors stop because they hear a loud voice, they don't know what happened. Are you going to stop and also you're going to figure out what happened, or no, you're just going to take advantage of that and you're going to be ahead by a lap or two? So at this time, so during the crisis, it's as you've been able to press a pause button for everyone, including your competitors. So this is a great time for you to get ahead of the game. Now, you should also take advantage of opportunities. Exhaust all the government grants and benefits. There are so many of them that is happening. There are some companies that can introduce you, what is available out there. Exhaust all those resources. Try to raise money as soon as possible. This is the time that you can raise money, because people with money sitting aside and they want to see what's the next big thing. Get it from the friends, family, investors, LinkedIn. Be aggressive. Doesn't really matter. This is the time that people give credit to the people who are aggressive in their business plans, and they're not just sitting on the side to figure out what's happening. Right now, business able to channel the resources and remain on offense will emerge far stronger than the other companies. As we've seen that so many times before, there is an opening for innovation, and legacy players fall behind. The examples that I use is when the big players that they are comfortable and they're in comfort zone and they don't want to make a change, and they during that pause button, when that pause button is pressed, they're not making those changes. So it's a great time for startups to take advantage of that. There is a lot of talents are available right now, because the bigger companies had to do massive layoffs, and this is the best time that you can secure the talents that you never could do that before. Basically, because right now they're also looking for a job. So if you can find those, get them right away. So what I'm trying to tell you is, as a leader, the time for you to play checkers. This is the time for you to play chess. So you have to think several moves ahead. That okay, so what is it that you need to do so in the third or fourth or fifth move that you're gonna make, you will be you will be ahead of the game. Each of the obstacles that is creating in our lives or your business is going to create a new opportunity. It just goes back to us that how we see them and how we can leverage from them. Creating your plan and strategy based on the end goal that you have, it makes it easier for you to go to the offense, and that's what needs to be done right now. Next slide. So right now, you should try to be flexible. Not only flexible, but also be adaptive and willing to make the difficult choices. Some of the choices that you have to make, it may be personal. Some of the changes that you have to make right now may be very emotional. So it's from, hey, we need to cut things and adding new things that as a CEO, as a founder, you have a very emotional feeling toward that. And maybe you need to pivot. Maybe you need to use your existing product that you have and try to fit it with the new customer's behavior. Try to focus on the customer's behavior and see what is it that they need the most, rather than just designing something based on what you like the most. Now, going through that, these are the difficult choices that you have to make. Now, when you have your plan set, that's going to be easier for you to figure out what are those choices that you have to make on the day-to-day basis. What are those choices that you have to make in a longer term basis? And sometimes the answer is not, is not binary, is not black and white. Those are the gray areas that is going to help you to be ahead of your competitors, because they're thinking binary, 0 and 1. When the customer behavior has been changed, I'll give you some of the examples of the customer's behavior now being changed. One of them, as I said, if you would have if you would have talked to a colleague about 6-7 months ago, and you would have said, hey, I'm meeting my doctor through FaceTime or Zoom, they would have laughed at you. But today it's a must. Same thing you see it's happening in the university and college level. People were paying premium to be in the to go to classes in person. Now everyone's going through the online courses and they're getting the same results. So they're gonna have difficulty. Same thing working from home. So or even just ordering online, the delivery, the way that food is being served. Everything is changing us, and we're getting used to that. Even if when we go back to semi-normal, don't think things is going to be the same. No, it's going to be other changes that people are used to it. Now, this is the time for you to take advantage. Figure out what is the next thing. So when the wave is coming, you're ready for it. There are, on the training purposes, there are so many AR, the AR, VR innovations out there right now, because that's the next step from Zoom. So figuring those out and set your long-term goal and figure out, based on what you have today, what is the shortest way for you to get there? What is it that you can leverage the most at this time to be able to be ready for that next move? Next slide, please. If you want to set your priorities, make sure to know what's, review your why and stick with it. If you haven't watched the video from Simon Sinek talking about the why for your business, I hardly recommend you to watch that, especially during this pandemic, because there's a lot of businesses that they're focusing on the what and the how, but the what and the how is not what is going to take your business to the next level. What's going to take your business to the next level, internally and externally, is the why. When I say internally and externally, meaning your team should believe in the why you're just doing this, how you can benefit the community, how you can benefit the society with that service. And then what is that why? Create everything around that why. All the how and the what is going to be around the why that you're doing. So review your why. And you will be surprised at how the why that you define for business months ago or years ago still working during the pandemic. It's just the strategy and the game plan for that is different on how you're going to achieve that. When you do that, stick with it. Go on offense and try to achieve that. Don't try to change the why. Don't try to change the basics. Stick with the fundamental and create the game plan around that, and empower your team to be able to do that. Now, when you set when you have the why, then you just have your game plan. Then you have your strategy and goals. When you create a strategy and goals, the biggest thing is you make decision based on facts. Do not make decision based on emotions, because right now, as I said, there are so many things that you're handling, from your personal level, from your business level, from different teams that is coming to you and asking for different things from the financial perspective, from the cost perspective, from the result perspective. Might be some of the customers that is not being able to pay for your services. So the biggest thing is you have to be able to make the decision based on facts, and because facts don't lie. Emotions, you may mistake. Right now, you don't have enough room to make mistakes, because again, the budgeting and everything else is very crucial for you to stick with the budget to get to the goal based on the plan that you have. In order for you to set the goal and move forward, you have to implement the system within your team. That also makes it easier for you to communicate with them. There are many systems out there. The greatest one that, based on my personal experience, is the OKR, objective key results. Create the objective key results for the company, for the department, for each team and for each individual. Not only makes it very clear for every person what is expected from them to help to the end goal, but also it makes it easier for them to measure how much they contributed into the end goal for the company and move the company forward. These are the things, even if you want to go after the investments, the investor is going to look at it and see if you figure your shit out or not. Is it something that, hey, this guy is just trying different things, or no, he sees the opportunity, he has a solid plan, this is how he's going to implement it, and this is what he needs to do. And they already have a product, or they already have the customers, and all they need to do is a quick pivot to materials, what they're looking for, and doing that is what they're putting money. So that's also is going to help you with that. When you go on the sales and marketing, that's going to help with the same thing. Your messaging is going to come from your why. Your messaging is going to come from the fact that how you're going to get there, who's your audience, how you can create those relationships with them. Same thing with sales. So creating the why, the goal, and the strategy are the top 3 things that you need to know to do for your business. Before that is how you can manage yourself, manage your team, and manage your network by setting the priority and tackling the one that is going to bring you more results. Now, when you review your why again, and what you go through, and you set your plan, and the next slide is you need to measure. Like every day, you should be able to measure that. Your measurement has to be so clear that you don't have to go through if and buts. You're gonna figure out, okay, so this is what I need to achieve in 3 years or 2 years. Break it down how you're gonna achieve it on a yearly basis. Break it down how you're gonna achieve that to the quarterly basis. Break it down how you're gonna achieve that to monthly basis and weekly basis, and how each team members can contribute to that. Now, if you watch that, you're not going to fall behind by far, because right now in this time, the businesses that fall behind by far, those are the ones that won't be able to catch up. You don't have enough margin of error in a pandemic like this, with this situation that is happening right now. But if it's very clear for you, if you're in red or if you're in green. If you're in green, that's perfect. Again, that's playing a chess game. You can define your next or second or third or fourth or fifth move and go from there, or at least you have expectations and you know if you're getting closer to that or not. Now, sometimes when you do all these measurements, those are the facts that is going to help you to adjust your game plan or adjust your team or adjust your approaches. It's not going to be emotion that is going to tell you what you need to do the next. Those are the numbers and the facts that is going to help you to achieve all that. Now, when you're going through all these setting the goals and measurements, there are a few big things. One, you need to empower your managers. You need to empower the people that you're working with. You need to trust them. You need to set the priority for them as well. In order for you to get their buy-in, that to be with you in this game, is you have to set them with them. So you're going to help to create the strategy and the goal for the company. But if you're going to figure out how each department is going to help you with that goal, you have to make sure to sit with the leaders in your business or other stakeholders in your business and get their opinion and get their buy-in. If people has a say in making a decision, they're going to fight for it. If the people that you're just going to tell them what to do, they're not going to fight as much as if they feel this is the end product, that they're part of it and they're responsible for it and they want to be part of the success. Always give that ownership to the people underneath. Empower them so they empower their team, and they're just going to work with you as a business partner rather than just working for you as an employee. So the next slide. So when you go through this, when you have all these goals set up, when you have the measurement set, that means you set the expectation correctly from your team. We don't have too much space to make mistakes. And as one of the very first thing that I suggested you to do was make sure to manage your team. Managing your team is not only about telling them, okay, come to work at 9, just leave at 5. Managing your team is about setting the expectation correctly. So when they come to work, They know what is the expectation from them and what they need to achieve, and how that expectation is going to help the company's end goal, and they can contribute to the end goal for the company. In order to do that, you need to have the set plan for them, and they know how you're going to measure their success, how they can be part of the bigger team. So leveraging the team is the biggest thing that you need right now, because it's impossible for all of us to do everything by ourselves. We already dealing with the personal difficulties and challenges because of the pandemic. We all do that. But when we're a team, and the true team, if you want to be able to run a good team, try to be a leader. Try to be one of them. Try to lead by example, rather than tell them what to do and just managing them. People is not going to appreciate that. Maybe they stick around because they're nervous that what is out there available for me, or they're going to stick around because, hey, I'm getting a good pay, but they're not going to have their heart into the game. This is the time, as I said, you need to be in the offense. In order for any team to go to on the offense, is every player in that team has their heart in the game and they run with it. So if the team wins, everyone is going to take something out of that. So make sure to leverage your team to get there. Build a good team. There is a book called Good to Great, and in that book it's saying, like, the most important thing is set the people that is in the bus with you when you're going through this ride. The team can be make or break. Now, from the investment perspective, like at Victory Square, like one of the main elements for us to invest into any companies is the team. We have to make sure that team is coachable. That team is an easy team to communicate with, giving us feedback or taking the feedback. And that's the team that they can drive by the logic. The biggest difference between the successful startup and unsuccessful one is the successful startup, they have a CEO, they have a real CEO. The unsuccessful one has a founder. The biggest difference between the CEO and the founder is so emotionally attached to the business and the idea and the product that he or she is not open to change. But when you go as a CEO has to make those difficult choices and decisions. And that sometimes will be, hey, you know what? The product that I have at the very beginning is not working. So I need to pivot. I need to change. I need to move people. In order to do that, you need to have a team, strong team behind you. Always hire people smarter than yourself. Don't panic or be fearful to have a smarter people underneath. They're going to empower you. And if you hire people that they're smarter than you, and they're the people that they're smart, then don't tell them what to do. Just create the expectation, set the goal with them, show them the way, and let them to try. Because again, like, you won't be able to see the maximum power of your team and the maximum energy that you can get from them if you just want to do the micromanagement. And in this pandemic, that's the worst thing. You need the people that they're creative, because again, the opportunity is out there. It goes back to the business as how you can see those opportunities and start leveraging them and reaching to your network. When you set your team right, you have make sure to empower them with the proper training. Make sure to set the goals straight. Expectation for each person is also straight, so they know exactly what you're looking for from them, and be open. Because again, when we go through a stressful time, some of the managers, some of the leaders, some of the CEOs, they shut the door, they go behind the doors, they're super depressed, and they're super stressed that nobody can talk to them. Don't be one of them, because people is going to look up at you and they're going to say, hey, this guy's super confident, so there's no reason for me not to be. That's what I mean by being a leader, not a manager. Or have open your door to any feedback, any changes, because now there are more people within different communities, within different group of people. They can see the need for new things, for new innovations, and this is the time to leverage that. And sometimes it's not about what you have; it's what you're going to create. It's funny that the largest the largest booking business in the world, they don't own anything. Airbnb, the largest ride sharing business, they don't own one single cab or a car, because the idea is new, because they were looking at the pain point of the customers, and they were trying to build it based on the customer expectation. So the team, it's the one of the most important factor from the investment perspective, as well as seeing the successful businesses, that how they empower their team to succeed. Next slide. And lastly, overinvest in the communications. When you don't communicate with your network, with your investors, with your team, they think there's something wrong. If you keep communicating, people get excited. People say, holy, they're just doing new things. Don't put fluff out there, but always communicate and communicate and communicate. Even just the communication will be, hey, we're good, right? Or these are the product, we're on track. Maybe before the pandemic, you wouldn't tell your customers that you're on track with your product. But right now, you need to do that, because before the pandemic, there wasn't a question that if a business is surviving. Usually, the businesses, the uncommon thing was business not surviving. During the pandemic, nothing is normal from the public perspective. So you have to make sure, manage yourself, manage your team, manage your network. Over communicate with your team, with your investors, with your customers. That gives the extra confidence for them to be around. Not only is going to give you the extra confidence for them that you're around, but also they're going to rely on you, and sometimes they will come with the opportunity with you. They're going to say, hey, they talk to their friends are talking about one of the pain points that they have in the business, that one way or the other is very close to your offering, or might be something that you can offer. One of your customers, one of your investors, one of your friends, one of your employees, because you're communicating with them constantly, they say, hey, this business might be able to help you. Usually when you see, how when you have kids, you say, hey, if I don't hear anything from the room, it's not necessarily a good thing. Sometimes there is something wrong. That's exactly what's happening in pandemic. You have to make sure that you're communicating so people knows everything is on track. Now, communication with the team, set the expectation. Setting the expectation is the most important thing. If you want to have, hey, daily huddles, weekly, monthly, whatever that will be, the more the better. Make sure you're not wasting time to just go on 2 hours meeting every day. Even if it's 10, 15 minutes huddle, that's enough. Set a consistent schedule for your communication with the customers. That can be through press releases, that can be through social media, all that. Now, sometimes is for you to get into the new market and get into the new group of people. This is the time that you can show yourself as a subject matter expert. Now, in order for you to be a subject matter expert, it's not about sales. It's about education. So start giving different pieces of content out there. Now, again, that can be a simple like writing every month, or it can be a quick video by your iPhone that you're posting, that you become the subject matter expert. When you become a subject matter expert, the new customer is going to go after you, new partnership is going to open up the door for you, and also the investors like to invest with the people that is a subject matter expert. Now, through this communication, so many doors will be open. And last thing about the business is be open to opportunity and partnerships. This is the time that is the time for any business to do roll up strategies, because there are so many other businesses that is offering similar things that you are offering, but they can't survive. But they have either a product, or they have customers, or they have the balance sheet. Take over them. Even with the stock play, do that. This is the time that you can grow. Number two, be open to partnership, because people want to get into the things that they have ready to go product, and there's the customers for it. So if anybody approaches you, or if you want to approach to somebody else, you don't have to invent the wheel. You can come up with a new partnership, and you can get the ball moving as soon as possible without waiting, or even put too much effort or cost or expenses right off the bat. That basically it hurts your business. So that was basically in a nutshell what I would suggest you as a leader, what you need to do through this pandemic. But the biggest thing is the mindset. As I said, you have to set the mindset. This is not a difficult time. This is the time that there's so many opportunity, and all my competitors has pressed the pause button. So this is the time for me to actually get ahead of them. in the next slide, I have my contact information on LinkedIn. If you want to reach out, if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. I think we have another 10, 15 minutes for question and answers. If there is any questions, please, feel free. I don't know how the question and answer works, but feel free to ask your question. I'll be more than happy to answer.
All right, Vahid, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
All right, so if anyone has questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. We do have about 18 minutes, but so please, yeah, just feel free to put them in the chat. But on that note, just to recognize that you finished your major presentation, I just want to say a couple of things. Obviously, I would like to thank you and all the attendees for visiting us in the session. I will invite you to also check out other sessions and to visit Victory Square's booth in the expo area if you'd like to learn more or get in touch with Vahid. Once you leave the session, please remember to immediately refresh your browser so new updates are reflected to you. Once the Q&A session is over, and if, in case there aren't any questions, feel free to leave the session by clicking reception on the left-hand side. And thanks again, and we hope you have been enjoying Vancouver Startup Week 2020. Okay, we see a question on the chat. It says, would you be able to give examples of how Victory Square is capitalizing on opportunities during COVID?
Absolutely. So Victory Square, I don't know how much you know about our company, but we're a public traded company that we are investing, building, or acquiring small businesses with the product, work with them very hands-on to get to commercialize their product, and then we take it public. Right now, we have 23 portfolio companies underneath that we take ownership of 15 to 100%. Now, the way that we do that right now, we set up for this revolution 2-3 years ago. So 3 years ago, we invested in a company with diagnostic testing that earlier this year, they came up with the COVID, COVID testing. One is Rapid, the other one is the ELISA. We invested it in the company, AR/VR company, about 3 years ago, that their customers are bigger, sneaker, some bigger names. Now we're leveraging that because AR/VR is becoming a big thing during this pandemic. We have a gaming company right now. There is a lot of gaming happening that not only that company is ready to be spin out, but also, we look at other good asset out there that either they have a good product or they have a balance sheet or they have customer base. So, we go and acquire the company to merge them or have some roll-up strategy that we did with the Game On about 10 days ago or a week ago. So what Victory Square right now does, we're figuring it out based on the current the companies and portfolios that we have and the new in the customers' behaviors, which of the one that is ready for us to go very aggressive with them, and if need to be inject capital or acquire other business underneath, so we can capitalize as much as we can to be ready for it for this wave. As some of the examples that I use from gaming to AR/VR to diagnostic. These are some of the ones that we've been very fortunate that we were in those areas before this pandemic happened.
Thank you, Vahid, for your wonderful response. We have another question in the chat. The question asks, can you speak to Can you speak to post-COVID startup opportunities in the education sector? Are you seeking such ideas in your company's living labs?
So the education is actually one of the industries that has been affected a lot by the pandemic. And the customer behaviors, because of this pandemic, I think is going to stick with it for a very long time. As I said, before this, all of us were going to universities. We thought, okay, we don't want to go online courses. We want to go in-person classes because they're better. We were paying premium for those. Now people are going through online courses. They're saying, okay, it's the same thing. We're getting the same, same degree, and we know the same thing as somebody's going to school. Now, people is going to start about different things. One, I don't know how it's going to work out with the in-person classes. What is the next generation for online courses? Now it's video chat and having the presentation. I think the next thing is going to be AR VR. How they're going to go on? They're going to have these 3D. 3D or even 4D experiences. Now that's only the university side. Because of the pandemic, now there are so many people that figure out, hey, I can become my own small business and learn about a specific thing, that they're going through just getting the courses done within a few weeks and they become their own business owners. And I know a lot of people that, selling like pharmaceutical or becoming like electrician or whatever that would be, without being bounded to a lot of courses and all that, they go through, the bare minimum and start doing one of them. 3 is going to be a lot of businesses that, because they're multi-locations, used to be traveling all their salespeople from one location to the other location for training purposes, everyone going through training. Again, because people has learned how to work from home and how to study from home, now that's going to be changed. And I don't think it's going to be as much as in-person training after this pandemic, even though when it's over. So I think education is one of those industries that has been affected and will be affected, and the effect is going to remain with it for a very long time because of the pandemic and the new customers' behavior through this.
All right, thank you, Vahid. We have another question. After spinning off startup companies, how does Victory Square continue to stay involved in those companies? Does Victory Square plan to take a portion of revenue?
So by the time that we usually spin off our companies, our ownership is anywhere between 15, 20% to 40%. We're not the type of the company that we want to spin off the asset and dump our positions, because we believe in a long term. Usually what we do, we stay on board with them as a consulting consulting agreement for 20 at least 12 to 24 months, that we're offering the same services that we offer to them from the growth perspective, from operation perspective, to help them and helping the company to grow with the business strategies, because the biggest thing for us is creating that ecosystem for around our companies, that we can create business for all those companies. And usually we liquidate our position anywhere between 24 months to 60 months after they go public, and reinvest it in the new generation of the tech and the new generation of the businesses.
All right, thank you for your answer, Wade. I do not see any other questions in the chat, but I would love to ask a question myself.
Sure.
Yeah, as a student myself, what leadership tips would you give to a person like me who is currently in school?
I think what a school has helped me with, not much from the material that I learned, mostly from how can I function and make decisions under stress, and how can I do a teamwork under stress. Now, from the student's perspective, you need to figure out what leadership means to you. Leadership means different things to different people, right? And a lot of people say, hey, I need to have a mentor, I need to do that. Don't get me wrong, I'm part of majority of the mentorship programs in Vancouver to help the next generation, but I think mentorship is overrated. Mentorship is, you can find one person that you say, hey, this person is, everything is great about that person. You need to figure out what you like in people and how you don't like people to treat you. Learn from that. Don't treat the next person the way that you're not enjoying to be treated as a leader, and treat the person the way that you like to be treated as a leader. Be open to that. So getting into the school, try to learn every day. It's so funny. Like today, I woke up with with so many things in my mind. I didn't have the energy that I always had. I walked into the coffee shop that I always walk. The conversation that I had with the person that was serving the coffee changed my mood. And I was thinking about that, how this person is affecting me, that I think I'm a leader. I think I'm talking about the leadership. I think, hey, I'm doing this or that, and changing my day. So being open to learn from every single person that you're interacting with. Doesn't matter, what they do. They have higher education, lower education. They have a better job. They have worse job. That's what you need to do. Right now, you are among a group of people that these guys is going to be, and you guys going to be the next generation of the leaders. You guys are going to be the one that some of them is going to run the country, some of them is going to run the big companies. So learning from each other right now, it's the key, and be open to that. Don't think there's there's no black and white. There's not two ways. There's always a third way or fourth way. You have to be open to that. So keep reading. Listen to every single thing that you can, even if you think it's fully crap. That's okay. That's a thought process that is out there. Don't do it, but at least you know what you're dealing with when you go out of school.
Thank you, Vahid. That was really nice. We have another question in the chat.
Sure.
Someone is asking, George is asking if you would be able to give an update on immersive tech.
So I can give some info on that, because again, being a public traded company, I have to make sure that all the updates being provided to all the shareholders at the same time. But immersive tech is as stated it in our last corporate update, they're designing a new product around AR VR that we had some conversations with some of potential customers with them, and both V2 Games and Immersive Tech, they are the two companies that right now we're getting ready to spin them off later this year or early next year. So that's pretty much as much as I can share. But I can always go to their websites or follow our corporate updates, and you can learn more about the details of what exactly they do.